poetry and the people who I've met in my journey of spoken word and performing is just invaluable to me. I attribute poetry to saving my life in more ways than one, including this very stage. So with the title, Poetry as a Defense Mechanism, George and I'm fortunate enough to, I'm taking part in George's workshop from page to stage.
Yeah, discount just for plugging it.
Oh, okay, shout out to, let me say it again. Taking part in George's phenomenal workshop from page to stage that you all should sign up for. And I decided to take this workshop. I've been writing ever since I was little, like 8, 9 years old, and so that was what, like 10 years ago? I'm kidding. And I've been performing for over 10 years at this point, but we can always get better. We can always do better. And something that I'm known for, if you've never seen me perform, is that some say I'm a little aggressive, right? Just a tad. So we talked about vulnerability, and while I'm always transparent, while I'm always trying to give the truth when I speak, it's almost with this like bravado, this demeanor where I'm so tough, you can't penetrate this. So we talked about being more vulnerable. So today I'm going to be a little bit more vulnerable, and still be mean a bit, but more vulnerable. This piece I'm going to do is the very first poem I ever did spoken word wise. I'm from New Jersey. I had never even heard of spoken word until I moved here to Virginia. But I had gone through an experience that was very traumatic, and I remember walking into an open mic in Philly, and then performing the piece, getting a standing ovation, and then going to the back and then leaving. And you're not, the poet rules, you're not supposed to perform and just leave. You're just not supposed to do that. So here it is. It happened so fast, but not fast enough. The way you held me tight and moved so rough. The night I begged you to stop and said I'd had enough, but you didn't. You didn't stop at once to think about the pain you caused. Still begging you to stop, you didn't, you paused. Tears full of anger as you tugged at my bra. Eyes full of hate, yet full of pain. I'm looking at this dude, he couldn't possibly be the same. Not the one from high school, when did he make this change? His eyes are looking crazy, a little lost, somewhat deranged. Moving fast, grinding slow, trying to find his pace. My legs unwillingly open as he found that nice warm place. With both his hands he pinned my wrist, with liquor on his breath my lips he kissed. I tried to kick him, but damn, I missed. Please. I whisper over and over and over again. My words he ignores as he continues his sin. Shh, he says, be quiet, you're confused. My love he continues to violate and abuse. Please, he gets turned on, starts buckling at the knees, built up pleasure he relieves. I'm gone. I'm not here anymore. I'm not lying on a bed tossed around like some whore. Those aren't my panties, the black ones on the floor, hands shaking, heart pounding a little more. He's done. But for me, it will never end. He sweats from a nut well bust, yet my sweats just begin. Nervous for no reason around my old male friends, asking him above, is this payback for my sins? Part of me will always hate you. The anger I tried to suppress. Forgive and forget, how can I? The shame's branded across my chest. No! What's the meaning of the word? Doesn't really mean it if her screams can't be heard? Make it up? You tried to. Fuck you, keep on trying. That night you never heard me screaming, but you damn sure saw me crying. Thank you. So, in my journey with spoken word, I do write a lot about just trauma and healing, and that's a mechanism. You put it out on the paper. Sometimes it hurts to say the things that you've gone through, the things that you've seen someone you love go through, or the things that's happening in the world. It's hard to just verbalize it sometimes, so you put that on paper because the paper doesn't judge you. The pen will never tell you, shut up, you're talking too much. You can say however much you want to say, however you need to say it, and the paper will always welcome you back. So, I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I was in a very toxic and violent relationship for years. And when I finally got out of that relationship, I didn't know what to do with what I had buried for so long. There was a point when during that relationship, he told me I had to choose between writing and him. I had to choose between performing at open mics and him. So there were times when I would sneak into open mics, even such as this one, to perform and then rush and leave, but I couldn't tell him what I was doing or where I was going. Then it got to a point where I stopped writing because if I put down on paper what was happening to me, then it made it real. If I said, oh, I was strangled today, then it meant it really happened. So I stopped it completely. So then once I started getting back into performing, I used poetry as a method to bring awareness to what I went through at that time. So this next piece is a piece I don't normally share. Can I have my phone back? And
do you mind if this video or not?
no, I don't mind.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you, CJ. He watched her head snap back like the hair tie his daughter used to control her unruly curls. His hands, once used to trace horoscopes on the small of her back as she dreamed of stars, closed around her throat ever so gently. It was at this moment that he realized how fragile she was. A disaster once beautiful, he flinched as accusations lashed at him from beneath her cover girl. The reflections he saw in her tears told him truths that she wished were rumors. His mask wore off with her mascara. He couldn't stop, not even when her cries became just as strangled as his sanity was. He was losing it. Losing it in the hopes of finding her, losing it in the hopes of finding himself. His hands, repositioned fingers, fingers that once moved loose tendrils from the nape of her neck, but instead today chose to squeeze. Squeezed until her breathing became labored. Squeezed until the pain in her eyes he savored. Licking his dry lips, he briefly remembered the last time she kissed him. It was quick, yet meaningful. She smiled at him and she told him she loved him, but if she really did, they wouldn't be here now, would they? He wouldn't have had his hands around her throat, a throat so beautifully fragile that if he squeezed any harder, he could make a wish. A break could help him both, he thought, but he refused to let her go. Maybe he snapped because he squeezed as her slender arms pushed against his boulders, squeezed against his shoulders, squeezed until the weight of this moment became too heavy for either of them to bear. He tried to catch her as she fell. He swears he did. He thinks he swears he did, but why was she fighting? Or better yet, why wasn't she fighting hard enough? Why wasn't she fighting to remind him of the man he used to be, instead of the man he pretended to be? He, sleeping on her worth, pushed his respect for her under the the rug, along with the rest of his demons. Kissing her courage goodnight, he tucked his fist into the fold of her bottom lip as fear blanketed her. She just wanted to breathe, but with every rise and fall of her breast, he thought of another reason why he deserved her next to last breath. And so he squeezed. Thank you.